guys? My name is Natalie, and if you are new here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Today, I want to take you guys through a couple different warm-ups to do before you start squatting, just in case you have kind of any pinchy hips or feel stiff during your squats. Throughout the years, I've had many instances of tight hip flexors specifically that kind of inhibited my way to squat. From physical therapy to Steve's coaching to just own personal experience, I put together a list of 5 of my favorite exercises to kind of do before you go into starting your squat workout. So without further ado, let's jump right into the first one. Now, you're not gonna have to do all 5 exercises, but I think picking maybe 1 or 2 to incorporate into your routine before you start squatting, or maybe do on a daily basis just in case you always have tight hips, that might be a good plan. But like I said, I'm going to show you 5 of my favorite ones. So starting off with the active lunge. So lunge position, which means that your foot is under your knee, kind of have this nice 90-degree angle here. Your back leg, knee is pretty much under your hips, and you aren't going like anywhere crazy with it. This is a lunge position. If you slightly lean forwards, all I'm doing is just pushing my hips forwards. You're gonna already feel kind of a stretch in the front of your hip right here. That might feel good enough to where you don't have to do the other part of this exercise and just kind of sit here for 20 to 30 seconds and kind of feel like a nice little stretch. But I like to make this an active stretch. So I'm going to contract my glute, which is going to kind of stretch and loosen my hip flexor here. It's called the idea of like reciprocal inhibition. Like if you squeeze your bicep, your tricep is automatically in a stretch state, or if you squeeze your tricep, your bicep is in a stretch state. So same thing down here, squeeze our glute, gonna open up our hip flexor and get a nice stretch up through the front of your hip. So you can do this where you clench, where you squeeze, whatever you wanna call it, where you squeeze your glute and kind of open up your hip. You can extend your arm for a deeper stretch and just kind of go between squeezing your glute for a couple seconds and relaxing, couple seconds and relaxing. Switch sides and do it again. So contract your glute, feel a nice big stretch, relax, squeeze your glute, nice big stretch, and relax. I usually incorporate that every time I squat just because it's super easy. And it takes like 5 seconds. And then I'll usually do one of these other exercises as well to get a little bit more of a pump in my glutes / hamstrings before I start. So my next exercise that I like to do to warm up my abductors and my glute is going to be banded side taps. Now, I learned this from my physical therapist a couple years ago, and I've really liked using this in my routine because I haven't found anything that really stimulates my abductors quite like this in a really simple way. So what you want to do is grab one of these bands. It kind of looks like a hip circle band. It's not super long, but it's a decent amount of tension. And what I'm going to do is put it around my ankles. And you're going to want to go ahead and stand about hip width apart, just like this. Now this band is pretty tight. I recommend starting off like pretty easy because these get hard fast. But I'm going to go ahead and I want to focus on my left side here. So what I'm going to do is shift my weight over to my left side and slowly tap my foot out and back. This is not focused on my right side. This is focused on my left side because the job of when I'm tapping is for my left side to remain stable. And now I want to kind of cave in with the tapping. I'm forcing my abductor to tighten and kind of get a good stimulus there. So an easy recommendation I like to do is 10 taps to the side, 10 taps diagonal, and 10 taps back. So tap 10 this way, then you're gonna go back and to the side, 10 taps, all while keeping a really good activation in your left glute. And then I'm gonna go back, same thing, just gonna do 10 taps. And by this point, you should really feel your left side, like getting a good pump. It's definitely challenging. To add some more challenge, to get more stimulus, take it back up or back down to the side and then get to the right. Then you want to switch and focus on your other side, which is going to be my right. So I'm going to come 10 out and then 10 back. Now, what you don't want to do is let yourself like fall over here like a wet noodle, you know, or kind of come too far back or whatever. You want to stay nice and balanced over the foot or over the side that you are trying to get the stimulus from. Whew. All right. Okay, so those were the banded side taps. Now I want to show you guys the banded forwards and backwards walk. So very similar structure. Also learned this from my physical therapist. It's a really good way to force constant resistance to your glutes in a really quick way. So again, band is going to be around my ankles, standing about shoulder width apart, a little bit more like this. I'm not like way too far forward or way too far back. I'm just in a nice athletic, I could jump up a position. All right, so I'm here. So I'm going to walk to the end of the room and walk back, all while maintaining this tension and not letting my knees cave in against the pressure of this band. So nice athletic lunge. I'm going to step and take little steps forwards. And then I'm going to come back without a break. If you did like 3 rounds of this, like constant tension, it gets very hard, very quick. So if you have a different variety of like resistance, I recommend starting with the easiest one because these fire up your butt like no joke. Okay, so those were the banded front and back walks. Like I said, you could probably do 20 steps forwards, 20 steps back, so 10 per side there and back, and that's like a very good workout. In PT for my hips, he had me do the side taps right into the forward and backward walk, and I'd just be like shaking, trying to make it to the end of the wall. So those are hard, okay? Those get really hard. Okay, now the next exercise, I'm pretty sure you can also call these a glute bridge, but I like hamstring butt lift things better. So to set up, I'm on my back. Everything's like pretty relaxed. My feet are flat on the ground. They're not overly forwards. They're not tucked right into my butt. I can kind of push off them clearly. So the exercise here, we're gonna come up with our hips and squeeze our glutes and hamstrings. We want to be driving through our heels, not through our toes or anything else, because if we drive through our heels, we can pretty much shoot our hips straight up and get a really good contraction. So flat here, all I'm going to do is drive through my heels using my hamstrings and then squeeze my glutes at the top. So I'm going to come down with my heels, up with my butt, lower, maintaining tension in my hamstrings. I almost caught a cramp just doing that. Okay. See, it's very easy to feel the activation in your hamstrings when you're doing it slowly and purposefully. Don't just be like flopping around, going crazy. You want to be actively thinking about what you need to contract to warm up your hips better. So I'm going to push through with my heels, come up, squeeze my glutes, come back down, maintaining tension, and go right into my next rep. Now, if this is like too easy, or you feel like you're not getting a good stimulus, you can also grab that resistance band and put it around your knees/thighs and have an extra layer of resistance that way. Personally, I think this is fine. Get a very good hamstring stimulus just from doing like 5 of these. But it's to whatever level you're comfortable with. The goal is to get warmed up to squat, not pass out from glute bridges. But I recommend anywhere from 2 sets of 8 to 10 on these, like not too many, get a good stimulus, and then go ahead and start squatting. All right, so we've covered 4 different exercises. We have the active lunge, the side taps, the forward/backwards banded walks, and then the glute bridges. So the last thing I want to show you is going to be the clam shells. You've probably seen clam shells before or done them yourself. Now there are a couple of nuances to get a better stimulus, so I'm going to go ahead and take you guys through the clam shell. So what you want to do is get on your side here. The point of the clamshell is basically to open up your leg and get glute activation from whatever side is on the top. What some people do is they will bring their knees too far forwards, and when they open up, they're pretty much doing nothing except just flailing around because their knee is too far forwards and they're making like a 90-degree angle. You want to bring your feet back a little bit so you can have like almost like half of a diamond here and be able to really open up your leg and come back down. Now, another thing is, some people may open up their hips with their top leg, but you really want to keep your hips facing forwards and only focus on squeezing your glute as you're opening your leg. Not like, I don't know what this is, but don't do it. And then lastly, you see my knees here are pretty even. I'm going to slightly bring my top leg more forwards, and that way I can get an even better squeeze from it. So to set it up, you want to be on your side, push your top knee over your bottom knee, and all you're gonna do is go ahead and open and close. Now remember, don't let your hips come out, keep them facing forwards. It might be easier if you lay down, or you can just be on your elbow kind of propped up, and then if you need some added stimulus, go ahead and grab this resistance band I should have found an easier one to demonstrate this exercise because it's a little more challenging, but I'm going to wrap it around my knees. Top knees over my bottom knee. Hips are facing forwards. Squeeze and come down. And you're contracting right here. Now take these slow. There's no award for fastest clamshells. Or is there? I recommend doing probably only one set of these if you actually need it. I think doing these side taps in the glute bridge would be more than enough to fire up your glutes and feel that relief in your hip flexors. But if you want to do clamshells, this is how you do clamshells, okay? Okay, so that was how you warm up your hips/glutes before you squat. Currently in my routine, I usually just do side taps and the glute bridges, and I feel pretty much good to go now on my squats, not having any pinching kind of feelings or aches and pains when I'm squatting. I recommend doing these as needed. If you feel like you don't need them, great, go ahead and skip them. If you feel a little bit more stiff or any kind of discomfort, talk to your own coach about it. Then maybe implement a few of these in, just a nice way to warm up your glutes. Let me know down in the comments below if you use these exercises or if you think I missed any. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.